What's going on, everybody? It's another interview here in my opinion, the best city in the world, Nairobi, Kenya, my place that I call home, the first city in the world that has inspired me to get an unfurnished apartment and invest in it rather than a month-to-month Airbnb that's super convenient but it's higher priced. This is a city I'm willing to invest in, and we have Carrier, who is a big-time Medellin guy. He said he's been there for 5 years or more, and this is his first trip to Nairobi, and we're going to see what his thoughts are, and then we're going to do a quick comparison on the pros and cons of Medellin to Nairobi and which one is right for who.
Yeah.
So can you tell everybody who you are, what you do, where you from?
Oh yeah, Kari.hq. You can follow me on YouTube at Kari.hq or Instagram. I've been delivering to the masses expat content about Medellin mainly, and then from time to time I'll go to some new countries, right? And over the last 5 years it's been a lot of Medellin though. And so I've become kind of an expert in the area of Medellin. I've helped a lot of guys with consultations and plugging them in the city and things like that. I'm from Texas originally, and I work in marketing in a digital space, kind of. So I work remotely while I'm in Medellin or wherever I'm at. And I was kind of craving for a switch up. So, after 5 years in Medellin, I was like, I love Medellin, of course. It's not perfect though, and the disadvantages of Medellin started to kind of be highlighted to me after so much time. And then the city was changing very fast. So that's kind of what led me to come want to check out Nairobi as a place that I could potentially live long term, because I've heard a lot of people talk about Nairobi as being somewhere easy to kind of habitate, meaning find housing at a good price, comfortability in terms of like being able to move around the city and things to do. So that's what led me here, honestly. I'm just trying to see the place and get a feel for it. Maybe in the future it might be somewhere that I want to live long term, but we'll see.
So how long have you been here?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay, so that's 3 weeks. I think is enough time to get a good judgment. Really shorter than that. A good judgment on could you extend for another 9 months or extend for another 11 months?
Yeah.
Or is this a place that you say you would choose to live long term?
Absolutely. I'm leaving very soon, and I'm kind of like, when you get to the end of your trip, man, you start thinking like, damn, like I could actually stay here. So I've had those thoughts with Nairobi, and it would be super easy with Nairobi, no question. There's nothing here that I think I couldn't deal with, and you can't say that about most places, but for me, the weather is the first thing to qualify a place for that for me. Nairobi's weather is almost identical to Medellin. It's so weird because I feel like I'm in Medellin right now, but I'm in Nairobi. So the other thing is social life and the people. Nairobi has great people. It's very easy to date out here. It's very easy to make friends out here. And there's always something to do, And the dollar still goes a long way here. So you guys that are used to that peso exchange rate, I don't think you're going to be upset with what you're able to buy out here.
Okay, yeah. I think Medellin is definitely a lot cheaper based off when I was there, especially when it comes to housing. But it's a little more expensive here. But for me, I would pay the extra cost because this is a place that balanced out what I was looking for. What I was looking for, everything. This place literally checks every box.
Yeah. If you're coming from the U.S., I would say you're still saving so much money that the difference between here and Medellin is not that big. Like let's say if $100 goes 100% in the United States. Okay, in Medellin it'll probably go 200%. Out here it'll probably go 150. Somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So you're still gonna be like, wow, coming from the States, this is cheaper. A lot cheaper. Medellin is an anomaly where it was just too cheap for a long time. Now it's going up, as you know. But I would say Medellin has a wider range too. Like you could go dirt cheap in Medellin, or you could spend more than you or equal to what you would spend here on the top end. You know.
So do you think that this could be a place that you would relocate to, or you would have two places that you would live at?
You know, I think for me, I like to see different things, bro. So like I get bored in one spot. So a year in one place, I don't think I could do anywhere. Like I need to move around. But if I only could stay in one country or one city, Nairobi would probably be in the top list of that. But like I said, I think it depends on everyone's lifestyle. You know, what do you like to stay? Do you want to be like set up a home base for real and be there all the time? Then there's no question like Nairobi suits that very well. Like you could do it if you want. Me personally, for right now, I'm not there yet. I will be back in Nairobi. And I'll just keep evaluating it. And maybe my heart tells me one day, hey, let's stay here. You know what I mean? That's very possible.
That's what happened to me. So if you guys are interested in visiting Nairobi and you want to know if it's right for you, or let's say you already got your mind made up, but you want a team that's going to take care of everything for you, the driver, the place to stay. If you're looking for residency, we could do that too. Safari tours, event planning, meet and greets. If you guys are interested in that, click the link in the first pinned comment or the description, and we'll get you a plan set up today to come to Nairobi. Now, let's compare Nairobi to Medellin. The first thing people are going to think about in Medellin is safety. Compare safety here to Medellin.
Okay. Well, I think in both there are some areas of insecurity, but in general, I think safety is less of an issue in Nairobi than Medellin. Why do I say that? Mainly because the threat of like guns and useful force in Medellin is a little bit higher from my understanding. On the daily in Medellin, I see people getting robbed at gunpoint.
On the daily you see that?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
crazy.
Yeah, if you follow like all the Medellin pages and stuff, you see that all the time. And I don't feel, or I haven't seen that in Nairobi. I do see people like snatching phones and running, but I don't see that violent force of a weapon. You know, that changes things. That's like you're talking like an ass whipping or the loss of $1,000 phone versus your life. It's completely different. And then when it comes to security with women, Medellin has a long list of problems when it comes to the scopolamine. You know, it's a big deal there. It happens daily. People get drugged and die and never wake up. So not only that, there's still just general insecurity in Colombia, like that I don't feel here. So I gotta say, like, I don't have an issue with Colombia's security level because I know how to move. But for the novice traveler, I think the worst thing that'll happen here in Nairobi is maybe you get overcharged or lose a little bit of money, you know. But I don't think there's many things out here that could cause you to lose your life.
Correct.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It would take a lot to lose your life in Nairobi. Maybe you'll die in a car wreck. You know, they drive like there's no laws here.
Yeah.
But that's my only fatal worry. God forbid that ever happened. So I would say for a first-time traveler, I would definitely recommend, just because of safety, I would recommend Nairobi over Medellin. Just because, you know, I've never had a chick steal from me here. Now, to be honest, like you guys have sugar babies in Nairobi, in Medellin.
Yeah.
But it's here too. But it seems like it's not as big of an issue. They're definitely here. That's why the chicks at the clubs, Jesus Christ, what are they doing all this screaming? The chicks at the clubs, they're just good to like just kick it with one time. Like, don't really invest too much into them. Because a lot of those chicks are just living off of guys. And that's all they do is club. And they're like, a lot of them are bottom feeders. And like, to be honest with you, that doesn't represent all the women in Nairobi. Because I know some great women here, and they don't participate in the same activities, at least not as often. But I know in Medellin that's a thing too, especially because they had like the narco culture.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, in Medellin, I will say the women are very opportunistic. It's built into the culture, it's intertwined into the culture, and a lot of guys come there with not a lot of experience on how to handle that. And so that feeds into it and makes it worse. And over time, with the amount of tourism that they've had, dating in Medellin has become a little bit of a hassle if you're looking for authentic connections and genuine vibes. Like, not all the vibes in Medellin are that genuine.
Yeah.
And I feel like here, a lot more of the vibes are just genuine. Although money might come into play at some point, I think the girls are a lot better at just like fucking with you for you. You know what I mean? Solely for you. Like, if money had nothing to do with it. Whereas on Medellin, man, back in the day, that happened a lot, but a lot of men have confused what's going on now to genuinely a woman liking them for who they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time I was in Medellin, I actually was getting followed around Poblado by these two prostitutes. Mm-hmm. And we didn't even talk to them. They were just following us for like an hour.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that type of safety, little stuff like that. I've never been followed. Well, I've been followed in Nairobi. She just didn't want to rob me. They followed me around for something else. But so we've covered safety. That's what most people are going to think about whenever we compare the two. Now, if you're coming from the United States, the time zone might be an issue here, which for me is not anymore. It used to be. If I wanted to go live, I would have to go live at like, I'd have to go live at 1 a.m. It'd be like 1 a.m. versus if you live in Medellin, you can go live the same time you would if you were still in Texas.
Texas time half the year or New York time half the year. So that's a big thing. It's a big difference in adjustment. That's all it is. It depends on the person. But it's cool being on a different side of the world, though. You know, you realize that I'm over here, like the Middle East, Dubai is waking up almost the same time as they are in Kenya, right? Rome and all these places around this side of the world. It gives you a much more global perspective being so far versus Medellin. You don't really get that. You kind of feel like you're in like Florida or something, like the most southern part of the United States because the time is the same. So yeah, I mean that's an advantage depending on how you look at it. Because for me, I spend my nights working with people in the States, you know, so it allows me here to use my mornings to work out, to get shit done. If I want to clean up the house, work on YouTube, whatever it is, I can do that for most of the day. And then the time where I'm at home at night, I'm just doing the same work that I would be doing in the morning in the States. Mm-hmm. So it's actually pretty cool. I actually like being on this time. It's like working the night shift versus working like the regular day shift. So for my expats that work online, I would say try it out. Try it out. Don't think, oh, if I go to Kenya, my work schedule, my time schedule is going to be too messed up. I promise you'll adjust. You know, you might stay up a little bit later, sleep in a little bit more. Actually, it's actually been really good for me.
Okay, so I'm about to wrap this up, but let's talk about the investment opportunities. I know you said you would come back. Do you see Nairobi? Well, obviously, it's an underdeveloped country. Nairobi is fairly developed as a city, but the country overall is underdeveloped. Yeah. So there's plenty of businesses that don't exist here that do exist in the United States. They have a really good real estate market here. Yeah. A really good real estate market here. What are some other ideas do you think an American could come to Nairobi and succeed? By succeed, I'm saying you can survive here off of $1,200 a month, and they can open a business that what ease do you think they could do that by opening and employing the locals here to do that?
Like what type of ideas?
Yeah, like, well, do you think that this is a great place to start a business for abroad? Because a place like Tanzania, you know, I wouldn't tell you to do that. Yeah. You know, it's not the best idea.
Well, in defense of Nairobi, the infrastructure is great. So, you know, you have functioning roads, you have, you know, functioning power, you have, you know, gas, water, light. You know, there's plenty of office space here. If you want to get an office, whatever it is. I think some of the good business models here would be outsourcing work because
Correct.
you have endless English speakers, so you can employ, a staff here and then get your contracts in the United States and still service clientele in the United States with people from here that you pay at a much lower rate. Also, importing things is also a good avenue. There's a lot of things that they just don't have here. And then construction, like you were saying, I mean, construction is huge here.
Yeah.
You see this city being constructed around you, and you got to think, there's got to be a need or a market for people to make, affordable housing in the villages, right? They don't have the same type of access to reasonable, housing. So those are all opportunities that if somebody with the right experience, funding, and drive to make that happen, there's absolutely opportunity here. The question is, to me, is how healthy is the business environment here? Meaning politically, one of the worries about anybody doing business outside their home country generally is, can the government one day say, hey, we're going to take all your stuff? If you were going to open up a business in Venezuela, that's very likely that would happen one day.
Yeah.
That they just don't give you no notice, just take everything from you. So Kenya being such an international city, and you see some of the world's biggest corporations already here, like KPMG, Oracle, IBM, Google, they're all here, so that lets you know that they are very advanced and they have a favorable business environment,
Well, I know the U.S. also has a lot of political influence or power over this country in specific, so I don't think I would worry about a socialist impact or a communist, we flipped to communism and now everything's gone, the government owns it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. It's just people that have never been to Africa just don't know.
Yeah.
Once you come to Nairobi and you see, oh my God, the UN's right here. They have embassies for every country in the world around the city. Nairobi is not your normal city. Any place where they make it a capital city and they have all these embassies and they do all this international business, it's almost like being in the United States at that point, because you got United States money that's being fed into the country at all times. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that type of communist takeover or something, but I'm just letting the people know that, look, this is on par with the United States in terms of being able to do business, right? There's a lot of cultural differences, but the people here know what they're doing. They do big business here, and I think they're welcoming a foreign investment. I hear that a lot. Now that we just changed presidents, I'm hearing a lot more about Trump relations to Kenya and the possibility of us Americans having more opportunities to do business here because the Chinese and the Russians had a lot more influence over the last few years.
Yeah.
Is what I've been told. So, all that to say, I love that type of stuff because I'm a politics guy. I love politics. I love and hate politics, I should say, but I just like considering it. I love international business and all these things. So, I've been just watching, man. Watching how Nairobi works. Seeing how there is so much money out here. You see Porsches, Land Rovers, Ferraris, Porsche, everything out here. So you also see a lot of poverty, but for me coming from the States, we see that shit too. You know what I mean? Or just we see a lot of dumb shit in the States, right? So I'm just seeing how Africa is set up, bro, and I don't see any problems with doing business here. I actually think it's a great place to live and do business because you could bring something that's not here out here, your American ingenuity or whatever experiences you can take from the States that can translate over here. So it's just a lot of excitement being here. I think you won't go wrong, especially as a young black man, to take yourself a trip out to Kenya, man, because you owe it to yourself to see the motherland for one, if you haven't already, and it's something about being around all your own people that makes things kind of just everything's smooth. You know, when race isn't a component of your everyday, you know, it's not like, oh, did they look at me weird because of race? This is not a thing here. Like, and it's not to say that Nairobi's all black, because it's not. It's far from all black. It's a very multicultural city where you'll see Asian people, white people, Indian people, you know, everything. The only thing you probably won't see is a lot of Latinos.
Nah.
Where the Latinos at?
I probably done met 3 of them since I've been here since last year.
Yeah. I don't know. Latinos, it's so funny that like Africa and South America don't mix.
No.
Like Africa mixes well a lot with Europe and US and even the Middle East, but not with South America. I guess it's the language, because Spanish, there's only one country in Africa that speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just very interesting. I know Angola speaks Portuguese, but yeah, it's interesting to me.
Yeah, they don't really know a lot about Africa, but so yeah, I appreciate you coming on for the interview. You guys, I will tag his channel. Make sure you go check his channel out and subscribe. If you guys are looking to come to Nairobi, and in my opinion, Nairobi is a place for families. It's a damn good place for single men. That's why I'm here. It's a great place to retire. Most people that are out here most of my friends are old enough to be my dad out here. And probably older than him. They probably in their 50s. I mean, look at Troy. Troy is 59 years old. And him and I hang out all the time. Like, Bobby is one of the few guys I hang out with that is near my age bracket. So it's a great place for older men as well. If you guys are looking to invest in Nairobi, what did I tell you before? You can't do it without me. I have the right network. I know exactly who you need to know, and we can get you set up. So click the link in the first pinned comment or the description, and we'll get you a plan set up today to move to Nairobi or invest. You need to get into the market right now, because if you wait in 5 years, it won't be the same.
You might be wasting money by just trying to do shit on your own sometimes. So linking out with someone like Austin out here in Nairobi is definitely in your best interest. If you guys have any questions about anything Medellin-wise, Colombia-wise, you know that's been my home for the last 5 years. Send me a DM on Instagram and I'll get you right. Same thing. But guys, I think it's no problem with patronizing another person for experience. Experience is like the most valuable thing too. It's crazy that like you hear that like people will spend all this money to go out, but they won't spend no money on
the
training or like experience or connections and stuff like that. So I'm right there with you, man. And as a community, it's important that we do keep our money in between us, like black people, black men, and black men. Like, it's great to see Austin doing his thing out here, and you know, I want to do anything I can to help his businesses do well, and find a way for us to do business together. So that's kind of the spirit that, you know, we're doing business with out here. And integrity is key for I know Austin and for me. You know, doing things, treating people the way you would like to be treated. That's something that as an American we are raised with, and I don't think it ever leaves us. But in different countries, it can be a little hard to find that, you know? Or you might feel like, oh, people just don't understand, like, you know, I wouldn't do that to them type of thing. I've been in that situation. I'm sure you have. But talking to one of us, man, we can relate to what you're going through. And I think that's very important, you know? So it's great meeting you, Austin. Thanks for bringing me on your channel, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Nice meeting you as well. I appreciate you coming on as well and providing your information. Like you said, make sure you guys go to his channel if you have questions about Medellin. If you're interested in Nairobi, first pin, comment, or description. I'll see you guys next time.